Hi, my name is Meg, and the name of my soap is Luludi, and that is the Romani's word for flower. And there are lots of flowers right now. My roses are in full bloom. We just already had our peonies come and go, but I did save some for some special things. But that's not what this month is about. This is a very special soap today that I have dreamed of doing for such a long time. If you've been around here for a while, you know I love books, and this is my favorite book to read for summertime. Ray Bradbury is my favorite fiction writer in general, and it's kind of a toss-up between From the Dust Returned and Dandelion Wine of which one is my favorite, but they're both so different. I reread From the Dust Returns every October, and I reread Dandelion Wine every summer. I am not a summer person per se. I really don't like it that much other than gardening. I love that aspect of it, all the fruits and flowers growing like crazy. That's my favorite thing about summer. But this year, I tried to embrace it more than I have in many years. I tried to think about the days that I did actually love summer when I was a little girl and when I was a teenager. And I really didn't realize until I reread Dandelion Wine this year just how much the people you love in your family and friends that are no longer with you, that are no longer living, of how much that does affect how much you don't like a season. It made me have memories of my grandma who watched us all the time in the summer, and we would go swim at her pool and stay up late and watch TV shows with her and stuff. And so it just made me realize that there was more than just like the heat aspect of it and things, that there's more that I didn't like than I realized, and that was from that. So rather than being sad this year, I turned it around, and I'm enjoying summer as much as I possibly can in an old Victorian house that has no air conditioning. So anyway, if you've never read Dandelion Wine, oh, I envy you, because you get to read it fresh, and just there are no words. I'm going to do some quotes as I make the soap, but when I was going back through the book, literally there were so many quotes I couldn't even put them all in. It's impossible. I feel like this is one of his finest works. It's very emotional for him. When he wrote it, it was about his childhood in Waukegan, Illinois. No matter that he moved west or not, he was still a Midwestern boy at heart. So it really does feel like Midwestern summer, like in Illinois and Wisconsin, how it feels here. And it's just a beautiful book to embrace maybe a season you don't like, or even if you really love summer, it just highlights it all. This soap was made with the first dandelions of summer. Literally, I went out there and picked my whole yard full. We don't use pesticides or anything on our grass, and then I infused them, I dried them and infused them into the oil, which I've done many, many times with different flowers and herbs on my channel, and I love to do. So I didn't actually film it. It was so hot that day. But the soap turned out everything like I dreamed. I found a perfect little stamp that stamps the little dandelions that fly away. And dandelion is such a magical flower, an herb. I don't know how or when it got labeled a weed, but it certainly wasn't throughout history for forever. Up until more modern times, it was not seen as that. Dandelion wine made in the summer was a tradition absolutely everywhere. I do believe my great-grandparents also made dandelion wine every summer. It's like it says in the book, it's summer in a glass. It's like preserving the peaches and the cherries and stuff, to be able to eat them and drink them in the dead of winter. You can feel summer go back into you. It's a truly magic feeling, and just the magic of dandelions in general. What other flower or plant or anything do people wish on? The amazing transformation that they do, where they go from a ball of yellow fire and light to these transparent, wispy little things that you blow on and make a wish. So I really hope this soap feels as magic for you to watch as it was for me to make. And the little bottles on top turned out just perfect. I did put them in a little bit of clear soap so that they didn't crack through the cold process soap formation, saponification. So without any more talking, I want to get into Dandelion wine, and also to remind you that today is July's full moon. It's called the buck moon, and I have this soap, and I have a restock of my rose face soaps, which are lovely, made with all kinds of different good oils for your face: rose clay, rose hips, and rose petals from my garden. And I also restocked my honey bee soap made from local Wisconsin honey. So, and then there will be 3 new jar candles as well. So all of that is in my shops now, my Etsy and my Square. They are linked down below. And also I've linked a couple of other videos for you to get in the spirit of dandelion wine. I linked one of a lovely lady who shows you how to make dandelion wine, and another lovely lady that talked about the book, and she made this beautiful video about Dandelion Wine book by Ray Bradbury. So let's get into it and make dandelion wine soap. Grandfather stood on the wide front porch like a captain surveying the vast, unmotioned calms of a season dead ahead. He questioned the wind and the untouchable sky and the lawn on which stood Douglas and Tom to question only him. "Grandpa, are they ready now?" Grandfather pinched his chin. 500, 1,000, 2,000 easy. Yes, a good supply. Pick 'em easy, pick 'em all. A dime for every sack delivered to the press. The boys bent, smiling. They picked the golden flowers. The flowers that flooded the world, dripped off lawns onto brick streets, tapped softly at crystal cellar windows, and agitated themselves so that on all sides lay the dazzle and glitter of molten sun. "Every year," said Grandfather, "they run amok. I let them. Pride of lions in the yard. Stare, and they burn a hole in your retina. A common flower, a weed that no one sees, yes, but for us a noble thing, the dandelion." So plucked carefully in sacks, the dandelions were carried below. The cellar dark glowed with their arrival. The wine press stood open, cold. A rush of flowers warmed it. The press replaced, its screw rotated, twirled by Grandfather, squeezed gently on the crop. The golden tide, the essence of this fine, fair month ran, then gushed into the spout below to be crocked, skimmed of ferment, and bottled in clean ketchup shakers, then ranked in sparkling rose and cellar gloom. Dandelion wine. The words were summer on the tongue. The wine was summer caught and stoppered. And now that Douglas knew, he really knew he was alive, and moved through the world to touch and see it all. It was only right and proper that some of his new knowledge, some of this special vintage day, would be sealed away for opening on a January day, with snow falling fast and the sun unseen for weeks or months. And perhaps some of the miracle by then forgotten and in need of renewal. Since this was going to be a summer of unguessed wonders, he wanted it to be all salvaged and labeled, so that any time he wished, he might tiptoe down in the dank twilight and reach up with his fingertips. And there, row upon row, with the soft gleam of flowers opened at morning, with the light of this June sun glowing through a faint skin of dust, would stand the dandelion wine. Peer through it on a wintry day, the snow melted to grass. The trees were re-inhabited with bird, leaf, and blossoms, like a continent of butterflies breathing on the wind, and peering through a color sky from iron to blue. Hold summer in your hand. Pour summer in a glass. A tiny glass, of course, the smallest tingling sip for children. Change the season in your veins by raising glass to lip and tilting summer in. Nothing else in the world would do but the pure waters which had been summoned into the lakes far away, the sweet fields of grassy dew on early morning, lifted to the open sky, carried in laundered clusters 900 miles, brushed with wind, electrified with high voltage, and condensed upon cool air. This water, falling, raining, gathered yet more of the heavens in its crystals, taking something of the east wind and the west wind and the north wind and the south. The water made rain, and the rain within this hour of rituals would well be on its way to wine. The water was silk in the cup, clear, faintly blue silk. It softened the lip and the throat and the heart if drunk. This water must be carried in dipper and bucket to the cellar, there to be leavened in freshets and mountain streams upon the dandelion harvest. Above in the vast house there would be coughings, sneezings, wheezings, and groans, childish fevers, throats raw as butcher's meat, noses like bottled cherries, the stealthy microbe everywhere. Then rising from the cellar like a June goddess, Grandma would come, something hidden but obvious under her knitted shawl. This carried to every miserable room upstairs and down would be dispensed with aroma and clarity into neat glasses to be swigged neatly. The medicines of other time, the balm of sun and idle August afternoons, the faintly heard sound of ice wagons passing on brick avenues, the rush of silver skyrockets and the fountaining of lawn mowers moving through ant countries, all these in a glass. Yes, even Grandma, drawn to the cellar of winter for a June adventure, might stand alone and quietly in secret conclave with her own soul and spirit, as did Grandfather and Father and Uncle Bert, or some of the boarders, communing with a last touch of a calendar long departed, with the picnics and the warm rains and the smell of fields of wheat and new popcorn and bending hay. Even Grandma repeating and repeating the fine and golden words, even as they were said now in this moment when the flowers were dropped into the press, as they would be repeated every winter for the white winters in time, saying them over and over on the lips like a smile, like a sudden patch of sunlight in the dark. Dandelion wine, dandelion wine, dandelion wine. Sitting on the summer night porch was so good, so easy, and so reassuring that it could never be done away with. These were rituals that were right and lasting, the lighting of pipes, the pale hands that moved knitting needles in the dimness, the eating of foil-wrapped, chilled Eskimo pies, the coming and going of all the people. Oh, the luxury of lying in the fern night and the grass night and the night of susurrant, slumberous voices weaving the dark together. The grown-ups had forgotten he was there. So still, so quiet, Douglas lay, noting the plans that they were making for his and their own futures. And the voices chanted, drifted, in moonlit clouds of cigarette smoke, while the moths, like late apple blossoms come alive, tapped faintly about the far street lights, and the voices moved on into the coming years. June dawns, July noons, August evenings over, finished, done, and gone forever with only the sense of it all left here in his head. Now a whole autumn, a white winter, a cool and greening spring to figure sums and totals of summer past. And if he should forget, the dandelion wine stood in the cellar, numbered huge for each and every day. He would go there often, stare straight into the sun until he could stare no more, then close his eyes and consider the burned spots, the fleeting scars left dancing on his warm eyelids, arranging, rearranging each fire and reflection until the pattern was clear. So thinking, he slept, and sleeping put an end to summer 1928.